Hello everybody, welcome. It's Juliet here and happy Friday. Hopefully I'll get this video out on Friday. This summer is kind of crazy for me, and I have had a visitor, a good friend of mine who I haven't seen in like 8 years, from the UK. She came over for a week, so I'm behind on everything. And yeah, we've just got so much on this summer, so I'm really hoping I can stick to my schedule. I'm trying to kind of work ahead where I can, but please forgive me if I don't always get a video out on a Friday. It might slip a little bit. Okay. Anyway, so next week is the 4th of July, so I thought we'd make a project that you can use some red and blue and white beads in, and you can kind of mix and match how you want to do it. So here I have some midnight blue. These are Swarovski pearls that I've had in my stash for a few years now, and they're so pretty, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to use these. So I'm using 7, and I'm using 7 of these gorgeous check tulip beads in this kind of frosty white color. This came in the June treasure box, and I don't think they're available. It was just kind of a limited edition thing, but if you don't have flowers, you can use another flower. You can use a drop that strings up and down. That would work as well. Okay, so don't feel like it has to be a flower. You could absolutely use a drop. So those are my white, okay? And then I am using 2 different colors of bicones. And I need to also mention that here, where I'm using 6mm rounds, you could instead use 6mm bicones. And here, where I'm using 4mm rounds, bicones, you could use 4mm rounds in place of one or both. The only reason I am using bicones here is because I did not find any red crystal rounds or blue crystal rounds or any other kind of rounds that I thought would go with the scheme I wanted in my stash. But anyway, so you're gonna need 2 4mm. They could be rounds, they could be bicones. You're gonna need 1 6mm, it could be a round, it could be a bicone, some kind of drop. I'm using these flowers, and then you're just gonna need some 11 seed beads, and I am using the Miyuki Galvanized Silver, which is 11-1051. Okay, so go raid your stash, see what you have, and we'll make, or if you don't want to make it in red, white, and blue, you can make it in any other color scheme that you decide you want to make it in. Okay, all right, so today I'm using 8-pound Fireline. Okay, so 8-pound in crystal Fireline. Okay, and this one's about to run out as you can see, but I have another one on standby. You'll probably need to add more thread as we work, so just get kind of a comfortable length. I've got about 4, maybe 5 feet, just kind of a wingspan, and I'm using a size 10 needle, which is kind of my largest one. Okay, so leave your standard 4-inch tail, which is 2 needle lengths, okay, and that's just to help you weave everything in at the end. And we're only going to be making like the middle section of this necklace because I am only using 7 drops. Okay, we actually got 10 in our box, but I decided I wanted to save a pair for earrings, and then I want them to be an odd number, so I took one more out, so I guess I'll use that one for a pendant. So that's why we're making 7. Okay, all right, so once you've got 4 on your needle, go ahead and make a little square. And what I'm doing here is I'm just going to make the end that I'm going to then put a jump ring through and then attach chain for the rest of my, well, I don't have to. I could bead more if I want to, but I'm just making kind of the central portion of the necklace. So then I'm picking up 1 and I'm going into the next bead. So I'm just making a diamond. This is kind of my little signature end that I like to do. I always do this. So You don't have to do it this way. If you just want to make a standard loop, you can. So I'm picking up one, going into the next bead. I'm just working my way around, making a square, okay? Pick up one, go through the next bead, and pick up one more and go through the next bead. Plus step up into the corner bead, okay? All right, so there we go. We have our little diamond, so that's gonna be like the end of my necklace that my chain will connect onto. And so now we're going to begin the actual beading, okay? So I'm gonna pick up a seed bead and then one of my 4mm, okay, my first color of 4mm, and then another seed bead. Then I'm gonna pick up my second 4mm, my 6mm, and another 4mm. Okay, so that's what we have so far. And we're just gonna repeat this, and we're gonna end with the 11, the red, and the 11. So 11, I'm doing the 4 and 11, and then a 4, a 6, and a 4. And like I said, you don't have to do the same number that I do. If you want to make a longer necklace, then just use more of your 6mm and your drops, okay? You do kind of need to decide how long it's going to be before you start, though, because and which you'll know when you're stringing this on. You can say to yourself, gee, I want this to be a little bit longer, so just keep stringing until you get it to the length that you want it to be, okay? So I'm just gonna finish this off and then I will come back. Okay, so this will be the length of the center portion of my necklace. And I just love this color combination. Like, it's really pretty. I don't usually do kind of bright things like this, but I really like the way these blue, what are these called? These are Potomac beads, blue flare. I love the way they look with these dark night blue pearls. It's so pretty. Anyway, all right, so when you are finished, make sure that you finish with the same bead that you started with, okay? And then we have to add our little end bit on, okay? So we're gonna pick up 5 beads this time. So don't count that last bead there, okay? So pick up 5, push those down, and then you are going to go through, you're gonna go through the first 2, sorry, you're gonna skip the one that's next to the red bead, and you're going to go through the first 2 after that, okay? And just make sure everything is all kind of budged up together and it's not gappy anywhere, okay? You're going to pick up a bead, go down into the next bead, pick up a bead, go into the next bead, pick up a bead, go into the next bead, and then what you need to do here is skip the bead that is next to the bead that's by the red one, okay? So we're gonna skip, this will be our corner bead. So go ahead and skip him and just go around one more time through that diamond, but skip that one, and that's just going to establish this bead right here as a corner bead, okay? we're going to turn around and go back the other way, adding our next row. So go ahead, go through that corner bead, just like you were going to go around again, okay? So go through that corner bead, and then just move straight forward through the all the way until right in front of the pearl. So you're going through the seed bead, the bicone, seed bead, and the next bicone, but you're coming out on the other side of the bead, that corner bead, and that's going to kind of center us. So now this diamond will now be centered instead of kind of off to one side. Okay, you see how that's now centered that, okay? All right, so you're coming out right before your 6 millimeter. We're going to pick up 3 beads, and you're going to pick up your second color, which for me is this red color, okay? Or I guess that's my first color actually, but anyway, okay. Whatever your little one that's in between your seed beads, that's the one you're going to pick up. And then 3. So pick up 3, one of those 3. And then you're just going to skip over the 6 millimeter. And you're going to go through the next bicone, the next seed bead, bicone, or whatever, 4 millimeter. Let's say you're going to go through the 4 millimeter seed bead, 4 millimeter seed bead, 4 millimeter, because you might have rounds, okay? So I probably shouldn't call them bicones. Okay, so this guy is going to sit down below the pearl like this, or whatever round type of 6 millimeter, it could be a bicone you're using, okay? So he's sitting down below like this. And you're going to do that everywhere that you have this big bead. So you're going to pick up 3, 4 millimeter, and 3. And you're just going to skip over that pearl and then continue through the rest of the next beads until you get to right before the next pearl, and then you're just going to do that little loop like that. And don't worry if they're flipping up right now, that's okay. You know, we've got a ways to go. So all right, I will finish doing this, and when you get to when I get down to this end here, I will come back and show you how to turn around. Okay, so I am just adding my last unit on the end here, and I have passed through the last seed bead, 4 millimeter seed bead, and here I am. Now you'll notice that we've already gone through this way into our ending, but we remember how we centered it down here. So I'm going to go the opposite way. So I want a thread to be on this side of this bead as well. So I'm going to just circle around my whole little end thing here in order to turn around and come back out. But I just entered into it from the opposite side where where my thread was already attached, and that should help center it on this end as well. Okay. So just pass through all the beads. If you want, you can skip the corner ones. It's kind of up to you. I just find it easier to go around them all. And just try and keep your end tail out of the way. And then when you get back, you have to go through that corner bead that's attached onto the rest of the necklace before you proceed. Okay, so this is kind of what it should look like, and yours may be flipping around. Also, while I'm thinking about it, you don't have to use 8-pound Fireline. You could use a nylon thread, or you could use another brand. 6-pound would be fine. Okay, so just whatever kind of thread. The thread kind of isn't as important for this one. As long as you can pass through the beads enough times, you'll be fine. I would avoid a size 10 10-pound thread, okay? But yeah, don't stress about the thread, okay? All right, so once you have this done and you're coming out from that corner bead, you're going to pass through the seed bead, the bicone, and the seed bead, or whatever 4mm round that you have, okay? So that you're coming out before the 4mm, before the pearl, okay? So you want to come out in front of that. Sorry, I'd forgotten how many I had to pick up. Okay, we're gonna pick up 7 of our seed beads. Ooh, that one's kind of teeny tiny. I'm not gonna use that one. Okay, so 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so you're going to pick up 7 of your seed beads, okay? And you're going to enter into this middle seed bead of the 3 that are right before your 4mm. You're just going to enter into that middle one, okay, like this, and it's going to kind of make a loop at the moment, okay? Okay, so once you have added your little loop of 7, and you're coming out from that second seed bead right here, we're going to pick up 2. We're going to pick up 1 more of our blue, or second, whatever this color is that's next to your 6mm, okay? You're going to pick up 1 of those and 1 more seed bead. So 2, pick up 2 seed beads, 1 of your second color, and then 1 seed bead. Then you're going to pick up your flower or your drop or whatever it is that you are using, okay, and push it all down. And then you're going to pick up 1 seed bead, go back up through your drop or flower or whatever kind of accent bead you are using, and then you're going to kind of do the reverse right here. So you're going to pick up 1 bead and then your 4mm and then 2 seed beads, and then you're going to go into that second bead of this group of 3 going upwards, okay? So when you pull it, it's going to look like this. Okay. So we just added 2, our bicone, add the end, and go back up and add 2 and go into that middle one of that group of 3, okay? Next we are going to pick up 7 of our seed beads, okay? So that's 3, 2, and 2. So pick up 7, and you're going to enter into the seed bead, the 4mm, and the seed bead that are kind of in the middle. So you're skipping the seed bead, the pearl, and sorry, you're skipping the 4, the 6, the 4, and then you're going to pass through this group right here, the seed bead, the 4mm, and the seed bead, like this, okay? And you're just working down the line here, okay? So we've now got this funny little dip right here as well, okay? You're gonna pick up 2 seed beads, and right here, count, including this one right here, you're gonna go 1, 2, 3, and then you're going to sew down into that 4th bead right there. So skip 3 and sew into the 4th bead, and you're going down. Try and not get looped, okay. So we've kind of created now a little loop around our bicone there. Okay, do you see? So we've gone up, we've gone around, and then we've come back down. So we're kind of doing like a figure 8 here. Okay, then we're gonna again pick up, so remember we picked up 7 and we've already added 2, and then we're sharing 1, so we have to pick up 4 more, because that's 2 plus the shared 1 is 3, so we need 4 to finish our group of 7. Okay, and then we're going to sew into this middle one on this little line under our next 6 millimeters. So you're only going through that middle bead right there. Okay, and I'll try not to get looped on anything. So it should kind of look like this in the middle now. Okay, so it looks like we went up, we went around, and we came back down. Okay, all right, so now we pick up 2, we pick up our second 4 millimeter, we pick up a seed bead, your flower or your drop, and 1 for the end. Push it all down and then go back up through your flower. And just be careful when you're doing all of this that you are making sure that everything is budged up and you don't have slack anywhere. Okay, and then you're going to pick up a seed bead, a 4 millimeter, and then 2 seed beads, and you're going into the middle of these 3, going up through that bead right there. Okay, and then this is the funky part again, so I'll show you what we're doing here in case you've forgotten. We are going to be picking up 7, okay, so 7, and then you're just going to sew straight through the seed bead, the 4 millimeter, and the seed bead, and then you're going to pick up 2. You're going to count 1, 2, 3, and sew down into that 4th bead. So I am counting the one that's next to the bicone on the top strand is 1. So you're going to skip 3, sew down into the 4th one. Okay, so remember how we picked up 7, we added 2, we're sharing this one, and then we need 4. And we're going to sew into the middle of the 3rd, these 3 seed beads. We're sewing into the 2nd one. Make sure you're sewing downwards, okay? And then give it all a little squeeze, and if you just make sure that any slack on one side or the other of this little unit, that you kind of try and get rid of it. Okay, all right, so you're just going to continue doing this the whole way down. So you add 2 seed beads, a 4 millimeter, a seed bead, add your drop, turn around, come back up, seed bead, 4 millimeter, 2 seed beads into this middle one, 7 into here, 2 into the shared bead, 4. Okay, so keep going, and when you get to the very end here, see how we added 7 right here? We're going to be also adding 7 at the end, and then I'll show you what to do when we turn around. Okay. Okay, so I have just added my last flower on the end here, and I have picked up my 7 beads, and just like I would normally do, I am going through that seed bead, bicone, and seed bead right at the end with the 7, and here I'm going to pick up 2, and I'm going to skip the 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to go into that 4th bead, but I'm going to just circle back around again, okay? So you have to go through, you're basically going through 3, okay? And I'm just trying to get all the slack out of there. Okay, so you should be coming out from that 3rd bead here, okay? So you've got 1, 2, 3, then a shared 1, 2, 3, and then there should be 1, 2, and then kind of 3 until that that last one right there, okay? And that's what you should have at the moment. Okay, so my thread is getting kind of short, so I'll probably have to add some more in a minute, but this is the last go along that we're gonna have. Actually, no, I lied. There's one more bit after this, but on the bottom, this is the last bit, okay? So you're gonna pick up 2 seed beads here. And do you see the 2 that are above the bicone right here that are kind of off to the side? You're gonna sew down those 2 and down through your flower. We're just gonna reinforce our drop here, okay? So you should have a little line, a little extra line right here with 2 beads. And you're going to pass through that bead at the bottom of your drop. Go back up through your drop, and then you can continue up through the seed bead, your 4mm, and the next 2 beads right here, okay? So you're coming out from the 2nd bead right here. You're going to pick up 2 beads, and if you look underneath, so I've picked up 2. Do you see this shared bead right here? Not the next bead, but the one after that. You're going to sew into that bead right there. Okay, in the direction that you're working. So we're going back down the line. It's going to create an extra line like this. Then you're going to pick up a seed bead, one of your main first color, the one that's in between the seed beads, okay, and a seed bead. So pick up a seed bead, 4mm seed bead, and this is going to become a little drop as well. So you're going to skip the 2nd seed bead, go back up through the 4mm, and make sure you pull it so there's no slack. Pick up 1 more seed bead, and then look here where this shared one is. You're going to skip the next one, and you're going to sew into the next bead. Okay, so it should look like this. Okay, so we picked up 2. After we came up from our bicone, we picked up 2. Not the shared one, not the next one. The next one we sewed into it, picked up our seed bead, our bicone seed bead, turned around up through the bicone seed bead here. Not that one, not that one, the one next to it. So when you're going into it, then you're going to pick up 2. And then you're going to go into those 2 seed beads down through the 4mm and down through your drop. So just reinforce all of that. Okay. And when you come out from your drop, you're just going to go up the seed bead, the 4mm, 2 more seed beads, and pick up 2. Find that shared bead, skip the next one, so it's the one before that you're going into. Okay, so just continue working all the way along, and you'll start to get a nice, pretty, sparkly little web going, okay? Really quickly, because this is a beginner's kind of project, I'm just going to show you how to end a thread and start a new thread. So I had come down here and gone up here, and I thought, you know, my thread's getting a little short, so I'm just going to end it. So all I did, I sewed up and I went through here, and I just pulled my needle off. So that has no knot or anything at the moment. So I went back towards the way I was working on the top row, and I just left it dangling, okay? And then I'm going to start a new thread. And to do that, I'm just going to go into my drop. So I'm working in the same direction that I was working. I'm just going to leave the end loose right now, and I will go back and sew that in later. Okay. Starting and ending in a drop isn't ideal because this drop will have more thread than other drops, so it might not flow as nicely, but that's okay. Okay, so I'm leaving my 4-inch tail like I normally would, and I am just going to continue on exactly where I stopped, which would be right here, and I was about to pick up my 2 beads, and I have to make sure I don't pull that too tight there so that my end comes out. It doesn't matter if it gets a teeny bit loose, because when you tie in the end, you're going to tighten that up anyway. Okay, when you go back at the end and tie in your loose end, you're going to go through this bead back up and pull it all nice and tight. Okay, so so that's it. You just leave your threads dangling where they are, and continue on as if nothing happened. Okay, so just make sure that you don't pull so tight that you pull it straight out again. Okay, but yeah, it's very simple, not difficult at all. Okay, all right, I'll see you when I get to the end. Okay, so I've got down to the end here, and I've come up through my flower and up to the 2 right here, just like we have been doing. We're going to pick up 2, and on this loop of 7, you're going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and you're going to go through 6, 5, and 4. Okay, so those 3 right there. So you're skipping. Not on this group of 3 here, but you're skipping 2, and then you're going through 3, and then there should be 3 going up to the bicone. Okay, so pick up your 2 seed beads like you've been doing, go through there, and then pick up 2 and go ahead and go through the seed bead, the 4mm and the seed bead back towards the middle of the necklace. Okay, in the direction that you've back towards the other way, in other words. So we finished that end. Okay, so it should now look like this, and you may need to kind of pull that a little bit to get it flat, but it should look the same on both ends now. Okay. All right, so you can stop here if you want. I think I'm going to add a little row. To me, the top doesn't quite look finished. So coming out from the seed bead right here, I'm going to pick up 8. I think it's 8. You might need to, depending on what brand of bead you're using, you may need to change. And what you're going to do is you're going to, no, I'm going to do 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so 9 seed beads, and you're just going to go straight into, skip over the bicone, the pearl, the bicone, and go through the seed bead, the 4mm, and the seed bead, just to add a little line over the top like that. I think that will look nice. and then pick up another 9 and do the same thing and just go all the way along like that. Okay, and once you have done that, then you can tie in your ends and attach whatever kind of chain or whatever you're going to use for your necklace. So I will do all of that, and I will come back and show you when I have finished what it all looks like. Okay, so I'll see you in a minute. Okay guys, I finished my necklace and I really love how it turned out. And I mean, it's actually quite subtle because the central part isn't that big. I probably should have done like an extra 2 just to make it a little bit bigger, but it looks fine. I've tried it on and it looks okay. So I just through these little diamonds that we made, I just put a jump ring and attached some chain. If you don't want to do that, you can bead, you know, just string some stuff and loop it through there if you want to do that to finish yours off. But because I have so much hair, you know, you can kind of, when I wear necklaces, you can only really see the middle of it anyway. And I just put a lobster claw on the end, and this nice big chain is good because, you know, if I want it a little shorter, I can just link into a different hook and it's a little bit shorter. So anyway, there is our necklace. I have to think of a name for it before I publish it, so that'll be fun. You'll find out what it is when it's published. Okay, so I hope you've enjoyed that. Do try this. It's really easy, and I love the swag effect on the top. I think it came out really nice. So okay, I will see you in the next video. Take care. Bye.